Hey, see, that's all it takes. Oh, God. What a piece of shit.
Hey Eli, I'll show you this real quick. That's my hoodie.
Oh, that is sweet, man.
Yeah.
I definitely have to get one of those. And one that says
It,
Dayton.
yeah, it only cost me $20.
Wow.
That's really cheap for a hoodie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a hoodie and graphics and everything.
Does he make,
Instead of being,
would he make a G-string that says that too?
that's $45.
Ah, it's worth it though.
Right.
All right, I think we're finally rolling.
I want a Cincinnati cod piece.
Right. Cincinnati, Missouri.
Springfield, California.
Right.
Devereaux! I'm Mr. Devereaux.
What's that humming mean?
Beethoven's Fifth.
I never said I was more than I am.
Shit. All right. Welcome everyone to episode 38 of Kiss Meets the Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Eli Clausen.
And I'm Branton Young.
And as you can see, we are joined by a special guest / new co-host, Chuck Hoskins. What's going
Hello,
on, Chuck?
everybody. How you guys doing tonight?
Oh, horrible, as usual. Kind of a bit of fate. Chuck happens to be in the same area that Brent and I are located, so kind of crazy that it worked out that way. He contacted us recently and got to talking to him, and the rest is history. So we're looking to set up our first date and go from there. Hopefully he's an easy date. So
There will be kiss on the first date.
So let's just get right into it. You know what we usually like to do, kind of introduce yourself and kind of give us your backstory on your history of Kiss. And
Okay. I've been a Kiss fan since I was about 4 years old. I remember I had two older brothers, and we had an old record player in the living room, and we had a Destroyer, and we had a Casey and the Sunshine Band vinyl, and we had a AC/DC, and we had a Queen. I forget, it's the Queen with another one, Bites the Dust. I forget which one that's called.
the game.
But and I love Destroyer, and I knew every word by kindergarten. I remember there was a kindergarten recital, and I actually sang Beth at it.
Nice.
And I was a fan all through school and stuff, and then right around Revenge, that's when I kind of became a super fan, and that's when, of course, I had more money then because I was out of high school. And then the first time I seen Kiss was at the convention tour of '95, and I had such a great time. I went to the one in Cleveland the next month, and then it just took off from there. I started collecting bootlegs. I found a guy named Peter Arquette, and he used to send me flyers every couple months, and I just bought I wanted everything. I didn't care the quality. Didn't matter what quality. I had to have everything. And then once the reunion tour, it just exploded. And I seen 9 times between the reunion tour and the Lost Cities. So
Nice, very cool. Please tell me you have you singing Beth on video somewhere.
I'm so old they didn't have video back then. It's on reel to reel. You can find it, maybe.
Damn, I was wanting to use it for the new show intro or something.
But I did make the tour book that year. There's a picture of Paul flying, and you look down, there's me looking right up. So I made a tour book. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I've been tearing my room apart. I do not know where the hell that tour book went. I know I have it. And why it's not with my other stuff, I'm like freaking out. It's like the OCD in me.
I'll take a picture of it and maybe we could put it on the next one or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. If I happen to run
Yeah.
across it before this goes up, I'll try to insert it. That's what
So
she
that's-
said.
Great, I love that. So
Yes.
that's my story. Ace has always been my favorite. I've seen Ace probably 10 times, solo. But I mean, I love all versions of the band. I love Tommy. I wish he had his own persona like Benny, but they didn't ask my opinion. So
Hmm.
until they do, I'll just keep going to the shows and loving it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's all about. Just as long as Kiss is there, period, I'm fine with it.
I actually think that Tommy's 2 songs are highlights in the last 2 albums. I enjoy them.
Yeah, Out of
A
This
lot.
World. Out of This World is probably
Yeah,
my
well-
favorite track on Monster. I'm not that into this one on Sonic Boom, but it's
See,
it'll grow on me.
I like the cowbell. You gotta have cowbell.
Oh yeah, you gotta have cowbell. There's never enough cowbell.
Right.
And
So.
so you said you saw them a good 2 handfuls of times just on the reunion tour.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen them? Since that.
Once my ex-wife was pregnant during the reunion tour, so that's why I had the extra amount of money. And then I think the Psycho Circus was the last one. I seen them twice, and then from there on, I just see them once a tour.
Oh, okay, awesome.
So, and of course, tickets were $50 back then, so they're a lot more now.
Yeah, true. And by the way, Chuck happened to be at the show that Brandon and I were at last summer too. So, it's crazy.
Right.
People
I've
that I've met since that show that I found out were there too. Now it's crazy how many people were all there, and we didn't know it at the time.
Right. I've got a decent bootleg of that show too, actually.
Oh, really? I'd like to get that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I got the Dayton ones from that one and the reunion tour.
Do you have the Springfield, Ohio show?
Not yet. It's an import from Japan.
It's at the Upper Valley Mall.
Right.
Some arena so exclusive I don't even know where it's at.
Right. Build it, they will come.
So you have any questions for him, Brenton?
No, I was going to ask him one, but he already answered it.
Okay. So I don't know. I guess the peanut butter and jelly stuff. What's your favorite Kiss album? Least favorite Kiss album?
Favorite studio album is Hotter Than Hell, and it actually has been forever. And then, but once I heard the Unplugged, and just the way that the 3 songs from that album came out, and coming home and got to choose and going blind just got new lives.
Yes.
And those
yes.
those weren't even my favorite ones from Hotter Than Hell. Let Me Go Rock and Roll Live is one of my absolute favorite songs ever.
Right, and I kind of cringe when I hear the studio version of Coming Home now compared to the unplugged version.
Oh, it's 2 different worlds.
Yes.
It's like almost an old 8-track or something.
100% agree, man. It brought that song so much new life.
Yeah, absolutely. The Unplugged did that to a lot of songs.
Yeah,
in my
true.
opinion.
True.
Just totally.
And one of the comments Paul said, I think it was on that video during the documentary. One of the things that always stuck out to me is if any of the songs that you've wrote cannot translate to an acoustic guitar, then they're not good songs.
Right.
And
Yeah.
every one of them damn songs translated very well.
There wasn't a clinker in a bunch.
No.
The whole set was just. You had known songs and unknown songs, and Gene's solo song, "See Tonight" was great.
Yeah, and there's probably so many other songs that they could have done a whole nother set that would have sounded great too. But the ones they picked was spot on.
And they did "She" in Cleveland, and I wish I had a good quality recording of that because it was amazing how good that it sounded acoustically.
Wow.
And Eric's background vocals, and Paul, to me, 95 was almost his best year vocal wise. I Still Love You. I couldn't give a better resume song than that one from the Unplugged.
Agree. That, and when he did the Live to Win stuff, his voice was just like on par for that, man. He was
Right.
And
he's still. he still sounded good last year in Dayton.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, he's not 18 year anymore. 18 anymore, but
Right, I'm over that.
Yeah.
Brayton, I think is too. We've talked about it. Again, it's Kiss. Having Kiss period is what it's about. Obviously, they're not 25 years old anymore. You're not going to
Yeah.
sound the same. But to be up there, I'd like to see anybody else. Most people that are that age to be on stage doing the kind of stuff that he still does on stage,
right,
let alone wearing those boots and everything. You
right,
know,
and
show me most people that are 65 or whatever, and most of them are all
Right.
broken down, and they look older
Right.
than they are because they smoke and drink all the time, and whatever the case may be. But
Well,
like Branton, he's that damn water.
and that's one thing that's always been a draw to me about Kiss is the different eras and the different voices. If you listen to Aerosmith, you're just getting Steven Tyler. With Kiss, you have so many different sounds. You could listen to Asylum, Crazy Nights, or the old stuff. There's so many different moods, that could be filled, with different voices. That's one thing that's always been appealing to me.
Exactly.
You know?
Spot on. Yeah. What is
So
what's-
anyway, Hotter Than Hell is my favorite album.
Yeah, back to that. What's your least favorite album?
It's gotta be Hot in the Shade. If you don't count Peter's solo album, I think is the worst album of all time, not just of Kiss's. I've tried like every other year. I try to make myself listen to it, and I just don't like it. But as far as studio album, Hot in the Shade, and I like all the Paul songs, but I think Gene's songs at that era were just not very good. But I think Paul's
Yeah.
got some good songs on there. The Hot in the Shade tour is one of my favorites to watch, though.
Yeah, definitely. And Gene was writing it in at that time. I mean, again, but at the same time, he was kind of starting to, get back into it right at that point too. But a lot of those songs were written during the time that he was
Right.
half-assing and writing it in. So,
But yeah, there's some good stuff on there.
yeah, I agree. Again, I wish the overall remastering TLC would be done to it, especially when they re-released it on vinyl a few years ago. That would have been the perfect opportunity to do that. But
I heard you guys talking about that in a previous episode. Did anybody ever hear if the 180 gram sounds better on the vinyl?
from what I understand, it doesn't. It's the same.
It doesn't. Same.
It's the same press as the original and what's on the CD.
Well, I was under the impression that, and I've read this recently, but I'm sure both of you guys probably heard about it, that a lot of the times they don't get the master tapes. They'll go ahead and transfer what is already digital to vinyl, and then so it still loses everything. It's just like they don't take the time, or maybe the money, depending on situation, to get the masters.
Yeah, I mean, that right there, when you're putting a digital source on a vinyl, that right there kills it. You might as well just put a bunch of screeching cats on the whole record, and that's what it should sound like.
I'd buy
Right.
that.
And I know you would. And
Now, to me, The Elder was the one that sounded the best after the remasters. I forget what year was that. What year was the remasters?
98.
The CDs? 98.
yeah,
I think The Elder is the one that benefited the most from the remaster.
Yeah, because I had the first version of the CD when it very first came out. By God, I don't know what year the first one was, but I'd never heard The Elder. I didn't own it, so I didn't know it was that bad. I mean, the EQ was really bad, but I didn't know why. And then you get these new ones that came out in '98, and it's like you can hear the chanting between the songs, and it's a different song order, and it was done right. It's like, wow. So instantly, it's like a whole new album.
Right.
and then with Hot in the Shade, it honestly, the best quality version and sound is probably going to be the cassette, to be honest, because the cassette has just a little bit more of that overall level to it and the sound quality. And but versus the you put on the vinyl and the CD, and you got to like crank your system up damn near the whole way just to have it at a decent volume.
Do you have the cassette?
Yeah.
I think I used to. I'm pretty sure I got rid of it. So I
used to. I don't think I have it now. I'm not sure. I'd have to look, but you know how that is.
Because I know recently I got rid of all or most of my Kiss cassettes, so I'm pretty sure I don't have it anymore. But take my word for it.
I think my cassette collection stopped before Hot in the Shade. I can't remember. I think maybe Asylum was the last cassette I had, and it got CD after that.
Mm.
So
yeah, so I did a little tinkering with Hot in the Shade myself on the computer, just trying to add a little life to it, raising the levels and little bit of low end, a little bit of the high end, kind of, and you can only do so much that way, but just trying to help it out, at least for my ears, versus that original mix of it. So
did it help at all?
I was kind of satisfied with it. I don't know. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I thought it sounded like it had a little bit more, I don't know. Well, there was more bass, more drums, I thought.
Yeah, and I was listening to Forever in my car the other day, and it definitely felt like it gave it more of a life, and I was like cranking it up because it was like I don't know, it helped it, in my opinion. But again, you can only do so much doing it that route versus having the actual individual tracks and doing a proper remaster. But hey, if they're not going to do it, then I'll just tinker around and do it to the best of my ability with what I have to work with. So
yeah, I can't believe they stopped at Crazy Nights. I was like, just do one more.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, it's almost like they treat that as the Bastard Child album or something. I don't know. Between that and now Carnival, that's treated that way, and I don't get it.
I love Carnival. I remember when I got a bootleg version of that before it came out. I felt like I went into Spielberg's house and got a movie before it came out. I felt like I was top dog because I had special, unheard of stuff, not realizing everybody had it really.
Yeah, I remember when that first came out too. I don't even think I remember hearing about it coming out. It was just like all of a sudden, hey man, did you hear the new Kiss album? What do you mean?
Right.
Like, what, a greatest hits? No.
I think I had heard the title, and I think I'd even seen the picture of like the head thing coming,
Mm-hmm.
So I think I wasn't surprised. I was just surprised that I had a copy of it before it was out.
Yeah, because the original unofficial versions that were on vinyl was a picture disc of that head image, and that was the only way to get it for the longest time, obviously, until a few years ago. So.
Yeah, and why didn't they, put that on the cover of the CD when they released it? It seemed like it'd been easy to do.
Yeah,
I had heard the reason why they changed it is because since it was released after the reunion tour, they didn't want you to think that you were buying a CD with Ace and Peter. They wanted it to be, I mean, that's what I heard. I forget the source, but that's the reason why they changed it.
Oh, so instead they wanted us to think we were buying a CD with Ace and Peter when Psycho Circus came out.
Right. Yeah, when you put it like that, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's just
another hypocritical thing that they've done.
I thought the artwork was pretty badass.
It was.
I thought they should have at least put it on the inside.
Yeah, or on the CD, like Branton said. I mean,
they should have.
It was just so plain and simple, just black with the red and white text, and it was just real, called in basically.
That the inside book, there wasn't much to that either. It was one of the the cheapest ones they put together.
And I'm glad to have the vinyl officially, but and then the thing with the cover, it's like they couldn't even get the original image to do it properly, so it's all stretched and blown up, and there's always like little Spinal Tap moments with Kiss.
So I just wonder if all of the reissues that they did, if they actually did them with the masters. Did you guys ever hear if they did that or not? I mean, the Elder would almost have to be the masters based on how it sounds.
I think for the most part they did. And then even the iTunes versions, they all say remastered for iTunes, whatever that means. They made them more digital or what. But I noticed little different bits of sound quality with some of those that I have heard of the iTunes versions. Again, I doubt they touched Hot in the Shade though. But
I'm gonna have to listen to that album now.
yeah, and I'm gonna have to listen to Unplugged now because talking about it, you got me wanting to listen to it again.
Since this came out, that's easily been my most listened to CD is Unplugged. I love it.
Yeah.
And I still get chills when Ace and Peter come out.
Yeah, every time it's like you get that same you get that same feeling all over again. And
yeah, that's the best version of Beth that I think there is from Unplugged.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty amazed that they haven't released something else that's similar to that, after, because I know it was popular, and it wasn't just because Ace and Peter. I mean, of course, that was a big part of it. But I think that they could have released, several other things like that throughout the years, because they did it on, what was it, Kiss Symphony, sort of, in the middle there.
Yeah. When they announced that it was going to be on the Vegas, it's only on the DVD. I wish they would have put that on CD. I'd rather have had that show on CD myself.
Yeah, exactly. They should have done both versions.
Yeah,
and and I've said before, I wish I would love for them to just do a stripped down, unmasked acoustic tour. They could play smaller venues and things like that. But
I mean, it'd be a little bit more expensive now.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to pay it,
In 95, the tickets were $100 each, and that included the concert and the meet and greet and stuff. So I mean, you got 12 hours of actually Kiss. So.
Well, that was also part of what, the expo or convention.
Yeah, the official convention.
So I mean, that's really a good price, Yeah,
it was. I did it in Indianapolis, and I was like, I got to do it again in Cleveland. So.
Yeah, nowadays it'd probably be $5,000 to $1,000 for something like that. I don't know what they charged for that official expo in Japan, and I don't even think they performed there. But even the fact that it was.
Do you think those prices were based on the actual time frame, or do you think it was because they didn't think they could get any more than that? Because considering the popularity at the time, it's not like they are now. It's not the same thing. I wonder.
Well, part of it's just it being 20 plus years ago. Because I mean, the reunion tickets were about 50. So I mean, I thought it was a fair price back then.
Yeah.
For 12 hours, because you had the Bruce did a little thing, and then Eric did a thing, and then they came out and question answer, and then they played about 2 hours, and then they signed, and then a tribute band, and that was a full day. That doesn't include all the memorabilia and the costumes and stuff were around.
Wow. So that's awesome. Definitely worth it. Yeah.
Now, the second time, I didn't even get to look around because I ran straight front and center, and I sit there all day. So I was, front row center for the whole Unplugged show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always feel like I'm on cloud nine going to the Indie Expo, but that's not even half of how that official convention was, and I can only imagine.
And the set lists, like we talked about before, were just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
It's the songs that they pulled out, I never thought I'd hear an Elder song live.
Right. Yeah, that was the shock value back then, and even on like the cruise or stuff when they would start doing the Oath, and but
I love
after a couple years of that, it kind of okay, it's cool, but there's other songs on that album.
Right. It was cool seeing Flamin' Youth in Dayton too.
Yes, that was cool.
To me, I know they got to play the hits, the Detroits, the I Love It Loud. If they just throw in one or two a night, they could do it and still make everybody happy.
Right, and they try to sell you the idea that if you want to hear all the deep cuts is, buy the ticket for the cruise, but
Yeah.
I don't buy that. It's not everybody in that crowd is not the casual Kiss fan that doesn't know anything but those big hits.
Right.
You can't tell me that that place wouldn't erupt if you did at least 2 deep cuts in a set list. I mean,
Right.
and even if that person doesn't know the song, they're still going to be into it, dancing
Sure.
or whatever, and they're going to end up liking that song after the show.
Exactly.
They're going to go home, what song was that, and what album's that on? That's how you become a deeper, bigger fan, as you start learning the deeper cuts, and
Right.
you can't just go off of knowing nothing but the big hits the whole time and call yourself a hardcore fan necessarily.
Right. So.
Let's see. So one of the topics you had mentioned to come up with today that we can discuss.
You want to do some current stuff first?
Yeah. Let's do some current stuff. As my asshole cat walks in the room. So lead us into it, Chuck. What's going on?
Currently, I did read a couple days ago that Paul said he was open to doing another studio album, and that's pretty exciting because I really enjoyed Monster a lot.
Yeah, and didn't he make a comment about, if they do, they're not going to take the music from the Elder route with this one this time, or something to that effect.
I didn't hear that part. I just remember seeing it and just being happy that was on the table again.
Shit, I wish they would.
Sure.
Take the music from the Elder type of approach.
Oh.
I'd rather that than saying this is going to be the next Destroyer or the next Revenge.
They seem to say that every album's the next Destroyer, Revenge, Creatures.
And, I'm tired of hearing that because it's not. And quit worrying about making the next album that and worry about that being the next classic album that people down the road could be wanting to make their album like. Say if Monster had been a huge classic, this is going to be like our Monster, something like that. But
all right.
I think they're so stuck in the past. It's like when they did the reunion tour on that documentary, they were saying they were trying to make the stage similar to Love Gun, even though it really didn't look to me like that at all.
Right. Right.
But, I know they needed a starting point to go by, but, it's like, I understand that to a certain degree, you sort of have to be in touch with your past, but at the same time, like Chuck was saying, there's just certain albums that they put higher than other albums. Revenge, Destroyer, and Creatures are like some of their best stuff, but Love Gun and Rock and Roll Over and their first album, those albums are, to me, they're just as good, and you don't hardly ever hear them say anything about that.
Right.
No, they don't.
I think Rock and Roll Over gets looked over all the time live.
Oh, yeah.
They should be doing 2 or 3 off of that every night, in my opinion.
That would be probably the one album I'd like to hear them do in its entirety. Whether it's a cruise or not, whether I'm there or not, as long as it's there and I can see video or whatever the case, I'd love to hear that.
I love the first album, but they seem to think that one and Destroyer is. If you look at any of their set lists over the last few years, those are the 2 big meat and potatoes are those 2 albums.
Yeah.
And they're great. Don't get me wrong, but you could easily do the same thing with Hotter Than Hell or Dressed to Kill and Rock and Roll Over. Symphony.
Exactly.
Symphony was. They played almost every Destroyer song. They didn't do 2. They did 7.
Yep.
I thought that's a little too much. Just in my opinion. Only because there's so many other songs they could have played.
They can come out and do, I don't know, the first 2 or even 3 albums in full back to back, and that could be the whole show. As far as I'm concerned, that would be awesome. And then the next tour or a few months down the road, do the next 3 albums and so on. Something like that. That would be amazing. I would love to see that.
But will it happen?
No.
I still want to see I still want to see the Dynasty costumes.
See, I don't know if we'll ever see that again either. The way they talk about those, or at least Paul.
Well, I'm pretty surprised that we're seeing the creatures, to tell you the truth.
I am too, really.
Tommy looks cool though. I like that outfit on him.
Yeah, I'm all right to an extent with Eric wearing what he's wearing. It's just that jacket that it's not selling me when he wears that.
You just wish you had that jacket.
Fur coat.
I do. I wish I had it.
So, other than that, I'm not sure what other current events there are going on.
In history was the filming of the Crazy Nights music video.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Was it?
What year was that? 80.
88, I think it was.
Yeah. I did notice that.
If you look on YouTube, there's footage of the making of the video.
I've never seen that.
Isn't it
Yeah,
on that VHS too? It doesn't have like the making and
Which VHS?
the Crazy
The-
Nights, like the little
Three
mini.
kids. Yeah.
This one's like 20 or 30 minutes of them just like lip syncing it over and over and over to a crowd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
no.
on YouTube, or it was. I guess it still is.
I'm not sure if I've ever seen that or not. I did notice that they announced some more details for the cruise. Pretty much some guest speakers and stuff that'll be there. Bruce and Bob Kulick.
Benny Vince.
Yeah, Lydia Chris, Michael James Jackson, which I'm pretty excited about that. I'm interested to hear what he'll talk about, and a few others. So that's I'm hoping that maybe they give Bruce the chance to come up and do some songs with them, whether it's on the Sail Away show or the main show. Maybe even Bob too. Bring Bob up with Paul and do some of them songs from his solo album. And
I hope they do Exciter with Rick Derringer.
see, that's what would make the cruise, and I would be on that cruise if Rick Derringer was there,
Right.
because he is a real American.
Yeah, well, have Hulk Hogan on there singing that with Paul and Gene.
But no, I'm almost more excited now to hear what Michael James Jackson's going to talk about than anything else on the whole cruise, and I'm sorry to say, but because it doesn't sound like the Kiss show is going to be anything unique this year. It sounds like it's just going to be the same show that they've been doing, so they may not even pull out any deeper cuts. They may just do all the
I think if there was something special about the show, we'd have already heard about it.
right, because that seemed to be the case last year, and then of course it ended up not being entirely true. The Hulkster. See, that's like a rare moment there.
Well, I've never seen that before.
I'm assuming that's from the same night that they played on Nitro.
Yeah, with the demon.
Yeah. But I mean, look at Hogan, man. He's almost as tall as Gene without
boots.
the platform boots.
What song did they play on that wrestling that night? I forget.
God of Thunder.
God of Thunder. Okay.
I've got that on tape, and I actually uploaded it to my YouTube channel, and there's other versions on there too. But it was pretty cool. They were lip syncing, but it was a cool performance. They did that to introduce the Kiss wrestler, the Demon.
They also had Megadeth on there around that time too.
Oh yeah, for Goldberg.
Crush 'Em, I think, is
Yeah.
what they played.
What a horrible song.
That was just awful.
I love Megadeth, but God, that's a horrible song. That is one song that I will not listen to when it comes to Megadeth. It's like
No,
it's like the asshole of Megadeth stuff.
I actually like the song "Asshole." I think the rest of the album's not very good, but I like that one.
I just can't take the step to even put that in my player.
What if they play that on the Kiss cruise?
Jesus. and the ship will sink, that's for sure.
I had heard that Gene did one of the songs from "Asshole" in one of his recent solo shows.
I think
I
he
forget.
did. I'm not sure which song. But
I don't know the name of the songs on his album very well, so I don't remember which one it was, but I did hear that he did that.
Wasn't
So.
Firestarter?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, but Peter Chris's album is much better than Asshole.
Which Peter?
All for One or
The
or
solo album, the 78 solo album.
I thought you were talking about All for One. I was going to say, I don't know about that.
Musically, songwriting, lyrically.
I haven't got through All for One yet.
You don't want it.
I've tried.
Yeah, it's worse than. I mean, I like the solo album. I can deal with that one, but the All for One, I've listened to it maybe once. It's bad.
What about, what's it called? Cat plus
Oh, Chris Cat.
Chris Cat
That,
1.
that one's actually pretty. It's more rock. Most of the songs on there are a lot more rock. And then they have another guy doing vocals too from time to time. Peter
What-
switches off.
What about the version of Beth on there? What do you guys think of that?
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember just thinking it was okay. I remember thinking it was better than Let Me Rock You and Out of Control. You know, of course I seen half a Kiss makeup on. I had to buy the CD no matter what the cover had. So I remember buying it, but not really caring much one way or the other about it.
Hey, boys are gonna rock, man. What else?
They threw a little tag on there that said Ace was on there, and, you know.
Oh yeah, they gotta try to make as many bucks as they can off of that.
Right. So I have that somewhere, but I don't really ever listen to it.
Yeah, I honestly don't have any of the. I have one Peter album on vinyl. It's Out of Control.
Okay.
Whether I ever listen to it again, probably not. But I don't. I've never owned any of his other solo albums, minus the '78, obviously. But
Right.
but yeah, with Ace though, I have all of his stuff, and I even have Vinnie Vincent Invasion, but I don't have White Tiger either.
I have the what's his the EP that was the mail thing, Euphoria. What's that called? The Vinny one. That's put up somewhere too.
I know what you're talking about. The hell was that called?
It starts with the E. But it came signed. I remember paying like $25 for it right around the time of the reunion tour. And last time I seen it online, it was like almost $200.
Jeez.
But I think it's Euphoria or something like that. It wasn't very good.
I mean, it's like I say, the more that he's in hiding or whatever, and the more rare his signatures and stuff like that's going to start getting and valuable.
Maybe that's the plan. You think he's that smart?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about him in a long time.
I mean, he's a hell of a songwriter, but
Oh,
He doesn't call me anymore.
I think that his work with Kiss is some of their best stuff that he's wrote with them.
Right.
Creatures and Revenge.
Right.
Look it up. I love all that stuff. So here he's a tool to work with, though. But
That's what they seem to say, but like I say, when it comes to songwriting, he's got talent.
Yeah.
He's, he may have been able to write a couple good selling albums by now after all these years, but I just don't know what
they've been so anti-Vinny for a long time. I was surprised when they actually mentioned him at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction.
Right.
I mean, they should have. I'm glad they did.
Yeah, exactly.
I think,
And I think that during is it Do You Love Me, where they have the different things going on the screen, I think he's up there a couple times.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, as much as they may not have gotten along with him, you can't deny the input that he had with the band, and like you were saying, a lot of the songs that he helped write were some of their best classic songs at this point now.
He's definitely got like a cult following with Kiss fans.
Right.
I think it's great.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, it's almost like that, no pun intended, but like Phantom of the Opera type thing, Phantom of the Park. It's like he's so mysterious now. You don't know where he's at, and it's like it becomes, you start getting that kind of following behind you.
When I met him in Chicago in '94, he was very light spoken and very quiet. Nothing like what you hear about.
Yeah, I've watched a few clips, and he seemed like he would be a pretty nice guy to meet and talk to. But he made that mistake of showing up with the makeup on at that one expo, and
Right.
that really kind
Wish I would have been there for that.
Yeah, that really kind of buried him with the guys in Kiss after that.
Was that before or after Revenge?
Huh?
Oh, I just asked if that was before or after the Revenge that he did with them.
It
was probably after, wasn't it?
I believe it was
Okay.
after, because wasn't it right on the verge of like the reunion and stuff when that happened? Like 95 or something like that?
Yeah, probably 92 to 94.
Yeah.
That's when Ace and Peter were making a lot of the convention rounds too. Before, I always hoped that Mark would have done some of that stuff before he passed away, because I never got to meet Mark.
Yeah, I guess he had done a few, but not enough. And
Yeah.
again, even though he wasn't in the band that long, he was still part of Kiss, and
Sure.
it would have been definitely would have been cool to meet him and hear some of his stories. And
Do you think if Peter or Ace had done conventions previous to the reunion, if they'd showed up in makeup, you think it'd been the same reaction that when Vinny done it?
That's a great question. I don't know.
I don't know, because at the time they would have still owned it, wouldn't have they?
That's
Wouldn't have
what
they?
I was curious about. I didn't know if that was the '80s that they gave up their rights. I mean, I think Ace gave his rights up earlier than Peter, if I'm not mistaken.
Because I thought, I'm probably wrong, but I thought they didn't give up the rights until once they were back in the band, like they
I'm not
signed
sure.
that agreement.
Which one was it on the Kiss My Ass cover? Was that Ace or Peter? One of them wasn't on the in the table.
Yeah, that was.
They showed the Bandit instead.
Yeah, it's what it looked like.
I think it was Peter.
Well,
Or, I forget.
it was Ace.
Was it Ace?
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure, and they didn't put Vinny in there either.
Yeah.
His makeup.
Huh. That's a great question, Brent. I don't know how that would have went.
I just wondered because Ace, he says that he never gave up the rights to his makeup, even though Paul and Gina says that that's not true. Of course, I mean, who do you believe?
The last
Right.
thing I heard with Ace, maybe it was on Eddie Trunk, he was basically saying that, he does still get money from that, every time they use his image. So I'm not sure how that ownership goes, but he kind of laughed it off and was like, I'm getting paid. I don't know whether Peter has that same deal.
From what I understood, I think Peter was more leased, and then he had the option when that was up that he could have said no. I'm not, giving you the option again. I'm keeping it, but he, ended up getting rid of it. So
I'm not sure. That's a good question, though.
I mean, it's like they almost have themselves to blame, don't you think? Because it's like, wouldn't you think to yourself that if they were wanting the rights to your makeup, wouldn't you kind of think in the back of your head that maybe they were going to put those on somebody else? Or were they that, did they have a bit of an ego that they would just assume they're not going to do that?
Yeah, I would have thought that they're going to use it, or they wouldn't be interested.
I mean, it just kind of, that's how it comes off to me. It's like, that would be one of the first thoughts I would have had. Like, what are you going to do? Sit there and put some other guy in his makeup?
I just had a thought. It's like, okay, before Guns N' Roses did their reunion that they're doing, what if they had a guitarist like Bumblefoot or whoever, dress up like Slash and wear the top hat? I mean, as ridiculous as that would be, of course, that's sort of different than Kiss, but does Slash own the rights to that look? Because if you watch the current footage, all the footage, every tour and previous to that, he didn't wear it all the time.
See, I don't know if there's anything when it comes to that kind of thing with the top hat or whatever. But who was that guitar player they had before? That
DJ Ashba was one guitarist, and then they had Bumblefoot at the same time.
Well, DJ Ashba was the one that was trying to be Slash. He was up there. He was wearing a top hat, and
was he really?
Yeah, and he was trying to act a lot like Slash from the videos that I've seen.
So I've wondered about that.
And it's just like, wow, dude. Like, so it's kind of that same thing in a way.
And because Axl wouldn't let anybody in the venue of the shows for the longest time if they had a Slash T-shirt or if they, had any kind of resemblance to Slash, which is like, okay.
I mean, what are you, a damn dictator or something? I mean,
so I mean, I wonder if Paul and Gene went through that with like fans showing up dressed as Ace and Peter before Tommy and Eric was in the band wearing makeup. I wonder how they dealt with that, or if they even just ignored it. Probably.
I mean, hell, you still get that because people walk up to Tommy and Eric wearing Peter and Ace stuff, or having them sign Peter and Ace stuff, and I'm sure people walk in wearing Vinny stuff at times, and
sure.
But I guess as long as you're paying that money, then what do they care? Honestly, I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure they would rather not see that, but hey, I mean.
Well, yeah, they're one of the few bands that has to probably deal with the makeup issue anyway. I can't think of anyone else that would even have to go down that road, really.
Yeah, I mean, because their situation and image is like so different from, like you were saying, Slash or Alice Cooper, or even guys like Slipknot and whatnot wearing masks. They just they pretty much did the same thing Kiss did at first. As two new guys come in, they have completely different mask or whatever you want to call it, character, whatever you want to call it, which is obviously what Kiss did at first too. So, but yeah, I get tired of that old tired thing that they always talked about, having Zebra Boy and Giraffe Boy and all this shit. I mean, come on, like, that's just ridiculous. Like, I was reading more of Paul's book the other day, and he mentions that, like, what was we going to have, a guy dressed like a giraffe with the white and black on? It's like, come on, man. Like, so all of a sudden, these characters that represented these guys and what, part of their life, and then you can't come up with that same kind of thing for other people. You just have to base it on like a zoo animal or a cartoon character or something. I mean, like, really? Like, I'm not buying that. I'm sorry. But.
Well, it's almost like that they're convinced that, it's like with Eric Carr, it was the fox, because Peter Criss was the cat. So it's almost like they had to do, even back then, and then with Ace being the spaceman, when Vinny come along, he's more like a mysterious, mystical character, similar to like a spaceman. So it's almost like that they're
Egyptian, yeah.
They can't get out of that idea.
Yeah, and guess what? Vinny, that's how Vinny really is. I mean, look at him. And, and then what's the first thing they come up with for Eric?
Hawk.
Yeah, so right there, they're like, all of a sudden it became nothing about what represents the guys or something that emulates them. It was just all of a sudden, let's go through the list of barnyard animals and zoo animals, and like, really, that's what you can compare it to. And
I've always wondered, if, I mean, I know this is a subject that's been talked about a lot, but if Tommy and Eric had the chance, if Paul and Gene says, okay, we want you guys to go home and think of, what kind of persona you would like to have and makeup design. I just wonder what kind of, because I really don't know what they're into. Tommy especially, I've said that before.
Right.
Right. What's Eric gonna do? Paint his face like a clock or something? I mean,
Right.
because I know that's his big hobby is watches.
Right.
But I mean, and the whole thing with me saying all that is not. Oh, they need to make different characters for. I'm over that. I'm fine with it. I accept
Right.
it. But I'm just saying in general. In the long run, it could have been done. And, but I agree. I have no idea what Eric and Tommy's into. What kind of, and I don't know. Has anyone ever asked them? Is it in interviews anywhere? Like what their idea would have been? Had they?
I've never heard that. I've heard just Bruce talk about being a tree, but I've never heard either one of them talk about what they would be.
Or a dog.
And maybe,
yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, or dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be curious. I'd be curious to see an interview with Tommy after he's no longer employed with Kiss to see what he has to actually say. What he would have done different.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Him and Eric.
After he's no longer employed with Kiss.
Yeah, him and Eric. I'm real excited to read some books from them guys.
As long as I think as he's still working with them, he's going to tone it down and not say anything.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're gonna get the cookie cutter answers and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I just think it's unfortunately for him because that's what he's going to be remembered as. Bruce has his own thing. He's his solos and the great work he did on certain albums, but Tommy is never going to be under the Ace shadow.
Yeah.
And I hate it for him because I enjoy him being in the band. But that's
Tom. Tommy's he's a real nice guy. He's a great guy. He's a great player.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to the guys in Kiss, he's not my favorite. He's not my second favorite. He's probably, as far as all the Kiss lead guitarists, he's probably my third favorite.
Fourth.
I'd say fourth actually. Yeah.
Yeah, fourth.
So.
The next time that one of us gets to go to the Kiss Expo, we should ask, if Tommy or Eric is there, we should ask them, what character would you have, did you even have the chance to have an input on that before they decided what you were going to do, or did you decide? Was it a mutual thing you agreed on, or what kind of things are you into that? What kind of character might you? If they would give a straight answer, I'd love to know that.
Right.
Can we start writing down a list of questions because we always forget once
Yeah,
we're there.
doubt.
Right.
And then we're like, oh, we should have asked him this and this.
Something tells me that Gene and Paul didn't ask him; they told him. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Probably.
And really, he was already used to playing the part because he was in the tribute band, and
Right.
You watch footage of that tribute band, it's exactly the way he is on stage now, the same kind of movements and everything. So it's almost like he was bred for that, and with Eric Singer, he was an obvious choice, of course, being that he was already in the band prior.
Right.
I'm sure he was hesitant too at first when they wanted him to put on that makeup, and at first when he was just filling in for shows, that's one thing, because Eddie Kanan did it too, but to do it like full time, like this is legit, like you are the drummer now. I'm sure he was probably a little hesitant at first, and he knew there was going to be some backlash.
Well, do you think they had agreements on money before he decided, okay, I'll do this? Because everything goes back to money a lot of times.
Right.
Oh, I'm sure they laid an offer out to him that none of us here would have refused either to put on that makeup.
I'm sure.
Right. I'm sure I would accept it a lot less.
It's like I always think of that Metallica movie when Robert Trujillo joined, and
$1 million signing bonus.
yeah, could you imagine that? And it was probably even double that for Eric or whatever, who knows? But
with the Metallica thing, when Jason joined before that, it almost like that kind of thing would have never happened. Is it because Metallica didn't have that kind of money, or is it because that I mean, you know what I'm saying? I've never heard anything like that with Jason.
No, they didn't.
I don't
have
think-
that.
I don't think Metallica was the financial beast then that they are now.
No, I think it was just, they were starting to finally make a little money, but they were still busting their ass, and that happened out of nowhere, and he auditioned and joined, and they hazed him until the day he quit.
At least they didn't say, "Here, wear these bell bottoms."
Right. That would have been bad.
Right.
Well, and I've always wondered why that they didn't have him come back. I mean, because they made up there more or less when they all got on stage. I don't remember what I don't know if it was the
Hall of
Like
Fame.
the third.
anniversary of something.
Hall
Yeah,
of Fame.
they did the Hall of Fame, and then they did another thing in California where they either the 25th or 30th anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
yeah.
where they had all the special guests, like Dave Mustaine was out there, and I forget. There's
Ron
several
McGovney.
people.
Was
Yeah,
that
Ron McGovney. I think maybe Lemmy. There was a bunch of people. I always liked Jason more because I thought his background vocals were way better than Rob's.
Yeah, I agree.
Just my opinion.
hmm And I felt like he fit the band better. He kind of came from that same, area and background that those guys did. And
Flotsam and Jetsam, because Kirk Hammett came from Exodus, so
Yep.
it was a whole similar thing,
yep.
which is probably the reason they chose him initially.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, look at all the big name guys that auditioned. When Robert got the job, I mean, it was just like a who's who of bass players. I mean, any one of them guys, would have been great, but obviously it comes down to what's best for the band and that style of music, and not all those guys were best for that style, even though they're
I've
great
thought
players.
about that, and my opinion is, and of course I don't know this just from footage I've seen and stuff, because since Robert had played with Ozzy and a bunch of other stuff, he just seems like he's very easy to get along with.
hmm
And I think that that's probably, in any band, I'm sure, that's one thing you would definitely have to look for.
Oh yeah, that's one of the biggest things. Before anything, who cares how good of a player you are if you can't get along with that person?
Right.
Vinnie Vincent. It's just not going to work. As much as you try to make it work, and you could be the
Well, you have
greatest.
Vinnie Vincent, but you have a Vinnie Vincent in your band, and he's a nice guy.
Yeah, see, that's the difference.
There's a big difference.
And he's not mysterious, and at least I don't think he is.
Does he have pink boots?
Trying to get him to spike his hair up and
Right.
get a pink guitar.
Absolutely.
I dug it back then.
Yeah, I was like, God forbid we ever do a Asylum era theme or something.
I wish you would.
Oh God.
That'd be
Gene
great.
looked. I think everybody looked decent except for Gene. Gene looked horrible like that.
It was bad.
It looked like,
Just awful.
well, they always say you look like one of the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Right.
Odd.
Maud.
But I'd still love to see a Pro Shot Asylum show though.
Yeah, we do.
And
not.
I don't think it's out there because I think it would have surfaced by now.
Yeah, there's some decent boots, but no Pro Shot.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sure they have it. It's probably sitting on the shelf somewhere. But
And I'll ask you guys this: did you guys wonder when when Exposed came out and they had that room where this is the the kids' vaults? And I'm like, this is the same stuff I've already got in my bedroom. Where do I, where is your vault of stuff that I don't have? That's what I
Right.
always, I love the, the compilation videos, the Kiss My Asses and stuff, but they always drew from stuff that I already had.
yeah, and
And then I was like, where's this vault at? Use it.
I was convinced when I first saw that was real, and they all lived in that house like that. And
Yeah.
Joseph Kiss Sr., what the hell? Who's that? What?
Right.
Is that real?
Lifestyles. I could almost quote that. Because back then, that's all I had was Animalized and Exposed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There wasn't YouTube. That I watched them to death.
Yeah. Exposed is probably one of my favorite home video releases that they did. It's
Right.
it's fun to watch, and there's some good
Sure.
content on there. Because at the time, I had never seen pretty much any of that before. So seeing all that's like, like, oh
Right.
my God, this is the old '70s stuff. Oh my God, I've never
Yeah,
seen
well,
video of it.
And the part when Bruce and Eric come down the stairs and they're going to the beach with the girls,
Yeah,
Right.
I actually thought, wow, they actually stay at each other's houses, and
Yeah.
it's, and then Paul's eating breakfast and stuff. It's like, this is how it really is, and then
Yeah.
of course, no, it isn't.
edit her out.
Edit her out.
And put
I mean,
in-
everybody doesn't put root beer in their cereal.
Yeah, yeah. But see that again, they were still giving that illusion, like the Beatles, that they
Right.
all lived together and everything was always great, and that kind of illusion.
So anyway, I always wondered why that they didn't have a different vault than I had.
Yeah,
Well, on that note-
maybe you have the real Kiss vault. Is there something you're not telling us?
On that note, it's time to visit the ladies' room.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we're back. What are you giggling about?
We're back. Rattle, rattle, rattle.
Rattle, rattle.
What do you have to say, Brent?
Well, that was it.
How was your urination?
Flowing. Gravity sort of helps.
Did you have great expectations for it?
I used to when I stood on my head, but I quit doing that.
We tend to do this sometimes. We have brain
Hey,
farts.
I'll ask you guys a question. My old first Kiss cassette, the version that was on the cassette of Nothing to Lose was off of Alive. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, I have.
What was the reasoning behind that? It seems like I had two different versions where like one was normal, or were they all like that? And why? Do you have any clue?
Well, one was a live version, right? Is the one
Yeah.
you got live or studio?
Well, my first Kiss cassette, the first album, everything was normal, studio, except for Nothing to Lose was Alive.
Yeah, I think the story I heard was that they pulled it off of, I don't know what live it was on, because at that point Alive didn't exist, the album Alive. But I did hear that they pulled it, and then they realized it after the fact, and whoever ended up putting the album together that ended up doing that, I guess got in big trouble.
Huh.
And then they corrected it once they found out, because I guess Kiss didn't know about that until it was brought to their attention.
Well, that was a
'Cause
later reissue after Alive was already out. Wasn't
Oh,
it?
I see. Yeah, okay, well then that's where they pulled it from, was
And
live.
There's versions like that on vinyl too, I believe.
Really? I always wondered why it was like that. Why you would substitute that song with the live version of that song.
Yeah, I forget the whole entire story, but what Brent was saying.
It seems like I read that in one of the Kiss books. Do you remember? Seems like that's where I heard about it, where I read it.
I thought I read that. I thought they talked about it on Kiss My Wax at one time.
It might have been. Very
Okay.
possible.
I was listening to the first album in my car the other day, and then when Nothing to Lose came on, it sparked, a memory of listening to it on cassette, and I was like, that's right, it was live. And I back then I never, didn't have the means to ask people about it.
And something else I've thought of that reminds me, when they've done the song live, even from the beginning, but especially now, it's like they've never even tried to, have someone play a piano in the song. And I know Kiss is, they're sort of that way with a lot of stuff. It's like, you could take some songs off Destroyer, and they've not tried to replicate those exactly either.
Right.
I wonder why they've not done that. I know it takes extra effort, but
It'd be cool to hear.
Probably,
Paul's first Paul's first solo tour had a keyboard, so you could throw a. I think it'd be cool to hear a couple songs like that.
Yeah.
They
So
should
I
have done it.
I think they had a keyboard. Didn't Bruce play keyboards on the Crazy Nights tour, or was that just for the videos?
Yeah, he did it on the tour. Hmm.
Which song? They didn't play "Reason to Live" on tour, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, did they?
Mhm.
Okay.
It probably just comes down to it's just more equipment that you got to haul and another person that you got to pay, and they probably didn't think it was worth it just for one song, maybe two songs. So.
'Cause I remember seeing the video for I think it was Cinderella's from their first album. I don't remember which video, and they had a keyboard player, but they didn't tell anyone they had a keyboard player. And if you look at the end of the video, it's some blonde guy with spiky hair, and he's in the video, and he gets in the limousine and stuff at the end, and he was their keyboard player, and no one ever knew about that.
And now that guy is on a Kiss podcast. Introducing.
You sure it
Brent.
wasn't their bass? You sure it
I'm
wasn't
the
their bass
guy.
player?
No, it was a totally different guy. Yeah, if you
Remember
go back and watch, it's either Somebody Save Me video, or it
Nine
might be
songs?
Nobody's Fool. It's one of the videos off the first album.
First album? Okay. I think there's only 3 off the first
Yeah,
album.
there's 3
so.
videos, so it's one of those.
I have a soft spot for hair metal too. I mean, I'm a huge Kiss fan, but I dig Cinderella and Rat. I still see Stephen Percy every time he comes around. I love Rat.
Yeah, we've seen him. He puts on a really good show still.
Absolutely. His voice Tom's is really good for him having to have surgery. Tom Kiefer.
Right.
still- He still puts on a great show.
His voice is a lot better than it was. That's for sure.
Right.
Is that who sings for him now?
Who? For
Rat.
no, Stephen Percy's with Rat again.
Hmm.
He's been in and out like 3 or 4 times. So the one guy they had wasn't bad. Jizzy Pearl. He actually did a pretty good job. If you're familiar with his work.
Yeah, he was with what was the band he was with before that?
Love and Hate, and he was also in L.A. Guns.
That's it.
And he also, I think, he did Quiet Riot for a little bit too, if not right now. Like he gets around.
Just like a Beach Boy.
He's been in many bands as John Corabi.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
So I love Union. Love some Corabi. They always put on a great show at the conventions when Union was playing with them. It kind of morphed into the Eric Singer project a little bit too.
That Dead Daisies, man, they were good.
Yeah, I was really glad to see them in Dayton. I thought they put on a great show.
And they had Brian Tichy, he's a hell of a drummer. He was doing some
Right.
cool stuff.
If you look on YouTube, there's some pretty cool stuff that they've done some obscure Kiss songs on the Kiss cruises.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I forget which. Look it up. They've done quite a few that you wouldn't think that they would do.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. So, and I don't know whether you guys know this, but Ryan Cook, the guy that plays guitar in Gene's band,
Mm-hmm.
was in a group called Hair of the Dog. You remember them?
Really? Yeah.
And they had 3 great albums, and they actually covered I on their second album. So I used to, I wasn't friends with him, but I knew him back in the day, and I used to take him bootleg Kiss things. And it's funny now that he plays with Gene.
That's awesome.
We'd talk about Kiss boots and stuff, and they always did shout it out loud, even back, in the early 90s, and now he's in the Gene band. That's kind of cool. But if you're not familiar with their work, definitely check out their first self-titled album is tremendous. Hair of the Dog.
Nice.
You'll see a lot of Nazareth stuff if you look it up. So.
Yeah, exactly. So what's probably the best Kiss moment that you have in your memory of, whether it was a TV performance, concert, whatever?
Well, in person, it would definitely be the '95 Cleveland Unplugged show, because I was front row center, and I walked away with Eric Sticks and a pick from all three of the guys.
Nice.
And on the video, there's a part where I used to have a handheld video, and Paul looked down at me and said, "What do you want to hear?" And that's tremendous.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
So
You still have that?
I have it somewhere. Yeah, and that's my favorite in person Kiss moment. And my favorite other moment would definitely be Unplugged when Ace and Peter come out.
Right on.
Like I said, it still gives me chills no matter when I see it. It's awesome.
And what would be a moment that would be kind of embarrassing? What the hell were they thinking?
That's a good question. I think when I seen Tommy in the that '70s show clip, that's the first time I shook my head like, no. But I mean, a funny Elder story is back when I was collecting cassettes, I had never heard the Elder, and Elder wasn't in print on cassette. So once it finally got released on CD, I'm thinking 86 or 87, I went and bought it, and I didn't even have a CD player. So I took it to one of my friend's house and gave him money. Said, "Will you put this on cassette for me?" And I remember him saying, "What is this?" I was like, "It's going to be different." I had never heard it, and then I took it home, and I'm like, "Wow." I mean, I still love it, but it just his reaction to this is Kiss, But it's funny, just back then, it was harder to get a hold of stuff that you just couldn't get at the record store.
Yeah, I mean, the way things were then compared to now, like, the younger generation will never understand.
Right.
How easy it is to just jump on your computer and instantly
Right.
find the song or video or movie, whatever you're looking for, versus having to physically go to the mall or a record store and
Right.
dig and look for what you were finding, or sometimes you'd even have to have it ordered and wait for it to come. And of course, back then, things would take weeks a lot of the times to come instead of a matter of days.
Right.
It's just, I remember a lot of that stuff, and I don't really miss a lot of it, but I do miss the whole going to the mall and discovering a new album is out, or seeing what came out, or even a record store with the new releases, and in general. So
Right. Now, how long have you guys been buying Kiss releases on the day of? Do you remember the first one you bought the first day it came out?
Oh, I've never thought about that before. That's a good thing to think about. I might be sitting here for a long time.
I remember mine. Mine was Revenge. I remember requesting off work to go buy Revenge.
I was gonna say, if I had to guess, might be Revenge, because I remember getting the CD when it had the old, the big cardboard.
The long box.
Yeah.
Those are so expensive on eBay now. I'm not saying they're worth it. I'm just saying people sell them for very expensive prices.
Of course, my mom would have taken me to the mall that day, because I'd have probably been 11 or 12 years old at the time. But I want to say that one, Psycho Circus, I know was one. But yeah, first probably Revenge.
Okay.
I really don't remember, because I was so oblivious to everything when I was a kid. Well, I'm still oblivious to everything. That I don't ever remember hearing, Kiss's album so-and-so will be out Friday, or it'll be out on Tuesday. I don't ever remember hearing that. Back when I was a kid, all the way up through the 80s, I don't ever remember that. So probably the first one for me when it came out was probably. I mean, I don't know the answer, but I'm guessing probably Psycho Circus, maybe.
Wicked Lester.
Probably Lester on Reel to Reel.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to have to think a little bit more about that because I can tell you a lot of other artists of stuff that I bought the day it came out, but as far as Kiss, I don't know. I don't even have memories of that, really. That's crazy.
I'm kind of second guessing myself because now I'm thinking maybe Hot in the Shakes. I remember having that on cassette, like when it was new, but I can't remember. So
Yeah,
I'm just Revenge is my final answer.
It might have been something that I had on cassette because that would have been earlier than Psycho Circus because, I mean, that could have been...
You didn't have that on cassette?
No, I did not.
I used to.
Really?
Psycho Circus?
I've never even seen that on cassette.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it. That's a good question.
Well, I know I had Asylum on cassette.
Yeah.
So it could have been Asylum, but I'm not sure.
I used to take off work when I remember taking off for a Live 3, and I remember taking off for Unplugged because I bought the VHS, the CD, and the vinyl, all three on the day it came out for Unplugged.
I remember my cousin when the Live 3 came out, and he may have bought it on the day of release, but I remember he made a copy on cassette like immediately, and I remember he handed it to me and my dad, and we listened to it right away, and that's always my memory of the first time I heard a Live 3 was on a recorded cassette. But it sounded great. Though. It was great quality.
Yeah. Decent set list too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, I remember buying like Metallica Ride the Lightning when it came out, and I remember buying Van Halen 5150 when it came out. And I don't know why I would remember that. But
5150 is actually one of my favorite albums. I love that.
it's my favorite one with Sammy Hagar, but it's the one I'm most familiar with too, probably.
Yeah.
See,
I remember.
I was just gonna say I'm trying to think of any album in general that I can recall buying on the day it came out.
Well, see, I didn't really know. You know, I would just go to the record store and flip through stuff, and what I seen that I hadn't seen before is what I would buy. You know, I don't remember them announcing. I mean, I know I got like Hip Raider and Circus Magazine. You'd see the ad for so-and-so's album.
Right.
But I never put two and two together to think, oh, well, that means it's out now. Even if it had a date on the ad, and I was like that with, you know, say, seeing bands in concert. You know, if they were on tour, well, that didn't register to me. It's like, oh, well, they might show up in Ohio close enough where I can go see them. I never even thought about that.
Right.
Not until I was in high school, at least.
You know, it's funny you say that because that's kind of how, I guess that's how it was with Kiss. Like, I never thought, like, oh, they'll play at the Nutter Center somewhere that's close like that. And that's probably why I never saw them until the Psycho Circus tour. And, you know, I have sort of a memory that I almost remember my mom telling me at one point, like, yeah, Kiss is going to be in Dayton or something. And at the time, it was like, I think I remember saying, I don't know if I'd want to go because they're not even in makeup right now. So, and
wasn't there a year that they played in Dayton on New Year's Eve? Like, it was either Hot in the Shade or, I'm thinking Hot in the Shade or Revenge. I remember seeing an ad that they were playing in Dayton, if memory serves. I have to check that.
but now that I think about it, I'm thinking that the show she was talking about was the reunion tour, and at the time, for whatever reason, I wasn't thinking that it was. I don't know. Like, it's just weird when you think back on it. And
right. I was at the Dayton show,
Who's
the
drumming?
reunion show.
It's my phone. It's a telemarketer.
Well, silence it.
I don't know how.
Throw it against the wall.
It's tempting.
Give it a give it a
Put it in your
bop.
water. Put it in your water.
Give it a bop.
Right.
Well, what I was going to say about what you were talking about, what did you just say? Because that phone just threw my train of thought off.
I
Which
don't
one
know.
of us?
What were we talking about?
Just talking about drumming.
Talking about his mom and a Kiss show, dating.
My mom. That sounds kind of awkward, but my mom and a Kiss show.
Oh, I know. You were saying about they did a club tour in for the Crazy Nights tour, and I know I used to have a show from. I want to say it was at the Ritz, and they didn't
Yeah.
have like the logo or anything behind them. So I don't know if that was the way they toured that club tour or what.
Yeah, that's
I
out
think-
on that's out on bootleg. That Ritz concert.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty circulated. Actually, they're decently cheap on vinyl. You can get the vinyl of that for under 30.
Yeah, I've got a copy. It's a good
I
sound.
remember having a cassette of it. Yeah, it's a good set list, a good show.
It's a radio broadcast, so it's a
Yeah.
really good sounding boot.
They did a couple of club shows for Revenge too. I remember
Yeah,
having
yeah.
a Revenge bootleg. I forget whether it was audio or video from a club.
I know I have one on video. I downloaded it off of YouTube. I
Remember what city? Was it New York again?
let me
Seems
s-
like Brooklyn rings a bell for both of them.
Let me see. No, it's not on my computer, so I must have burned it to DVD already. I don't know.
That's all right.
Yeah, but it's I found it on YouTube because I was trying to find at least one or two good shows from each tour from what I could find. And
That's what I've always tried to do is at least get one show from a tour.
right, so I need to catch up on a lot of those that I've burnt, and I've still got stuff sitting on the computer that I need to burn off. And
Now, what are your guys' favorite bootleg video to watch, or even official?
as far as bootleg, I'm really into the it's the what's it called, video collection. It's the one where it's like 73 to what is it, 80 or 79 or 80, where it has all the different TV appearances and promo videos, commercials, all that kind of stuff. I've always
Paul
loved that.
Lindy?
Yeah, all that kind of stuff's on there. I've always loved that. That's always kind of been my go-to. As far as official, was probably the Kiss My Ass video.
Okay.
I used to put that on a nightly basis as I'd lay in bed, just watching it over and over. I love all the clips that they put on there, and
Right.
great compilation. And when they showed some of the vault type stuff, behind the scene pictures and drawings and things like that, I just always love that video.
I always like the video a lot better than the actual CD.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's not a bad compilation. I just don't in no way consider it a Kiss album.
Mm-hmm.
Like I see it in the discography a lot, and I don't in no way consider it a Kiss album. In my opinion.
The bootleg I was talking about, I think that might be the same one that they call Visual Evolution also.
Okay.
But I
There's-
believe the version I have, I'm pretty sure it has a different title. I'll have to pull it out after we're done. But what about you, Brandon?
Well, I'd say the same thing that you said for the home video, probably. As far as bootleg stuff, it's probably. I had a video collection too probably from the same guy that you guys got your stuff from, and it was from 73 or 74 up through. I don't remember what the last video was on it. I mean, it had stuff from Rock and Roll Over, those
Promo videos.
Yeah, it had those, and it had Hard Luck Woman and all that stuff. I used to play that all the time because
Yeah.
it had well, I Was Made for Loving You was on there, and Sure Know Something. So I think it must have stopped with. I don't think I Love It Loud was on there, so it must have stopped with the Dynasty videos.
Did it have the promos for the She's So European on there, where Ace has that star guitar? Because I always love seeing that one. And
It
was
had,
it Talk to Me? Was that the other song that they did that night?
Yeah.
Talk E was on there, but it was a different version. It was from Countdown. And then Is That You was on there, and it was from Countdown,
Okay.
which is that English show. But it didn't have the ones that's on Kissology with Talk to Me and She's So European. That wasn't on there.
Okay.
You know what I'd like to see a better version of is that Mexican TV appearance when they did Charisma and what was it?
It was I Was Made for Loving You and Charisma.
And
There's
Charisma.
two versions of that. If you go to that one guy that has that Kiss stuff, I can't think of his name right. Necromonicon.
Yeah.
He's got two versions of that. He has the complete one that's both songs back to back, unedited, with his all that grainy interference or whatever. And then he has I think he has one of those separate that's an upgrade.
Oh well.
I
But
haven't seen the Charisma. Is that lip synced or is that live?
I think they're
Yeah, lip sync. I've seen people re-upload it with the album track just to improve the audio, but the video is still terrible. I'd love to see a real nice, perfect copy of that.
It's
Wow.
very odd because they have the Dynasty costumes on and
No,
they're not, or the Elder. That's what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have the Elder costumes and they're not even doing a song from the Elder. It's
Right.
like, how'd that even happen?
Right.
Wow.
And it's like what made them choose to do Charisma too? It's like that's awesome, but I guess because that was a bigger song in Mexico, so that's probably one
Was
reason.
that even a single or was that a B-side?
No, they never put it on the single.
I don't know if there was a B-side, but it wasn't a single. I'm not sure how many singles they released from Dynasty.
Just I want to say two.
Didn't they try to release Dirty Livin'? Because
I was going to say, I think there was Dirty Livin' and...
Well, Dirty Livin' was a B-side on, I want to say, was it I Was Made for Loving You?
Huh. I'll have to look into that.
I think it was its own single because there was a maxi single of that like there was with the disco mix of I Was Made for Loving You. Because there's a disco mix of that, which is, I don't know. I'm not sure if that was like a promo thing or if it was, to keep Peter quiet type deal.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, with that singles box set, like, I'm pretty sure there was two from Dynasty. Because I know one was I Was Made for Loving You, and I'm pretty sure Dirty Living was the B-side. The other one was Sure Know Something with Hard Times as the B-side.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was just those two,
I'm not sure 100%.
but right.
Yeah. I'm not sure either. So...
What about you, Chuck? What's your favorite?
My go-to favorite bootleg show is Winterland.
Oh, okay.
I've absolutely loved that.
That
And
was
there's 75 from the Hotter Than Hell show.
I was just chiming in. That's the first Kiss bootleg video I got. Was that Winterland show, and I remember thinking like, this has got to be the earliest Kiss footage there is. And
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I thought. Because it's black and white, you automatically think it is.
Right.
yeah.
Right. I love the Houston 77 stuff too.
Yeah, that's always like a classic in my opinion. But
Right. I always like the extreme close-up as far as VHS goes. I always dig the interviews, and I hated that they always interrupted the videos though.
yeah, true.
Yeah. Show the whole video, then talk. Expose they did it right. They played the whole video, but
Yeah, I remember buying that in the store and looking at the back of the VHS, and it would say like video excerpt, and I
Yeah.
think it's like what?
show the whole thing.
I think the first time I saw that in the store, I thought it was just like one of them unauthorized, releases that people had put out, like it wasn't an official Kiss video. But then when I started looking at the back, I'm like, oh, it is an official. But like, what is it? I still wasn't sure what it was, and then I watched. Oh, it's basically a documentary, and I do like that tape too. I like the layout of it, and I agree they cut in too much on the music and.
Right. Well, there's a lot of cool stuff out there to watch. I've recently picked up the CD for Cleveland in '75, the radio broadcast. Have you heard that?
Yeah, that's a real good one.
That's just a fantastic show. It's
Yes.
just so raw.
Yes. And
That's probably my favorite audio these days to listen to as far as bootleg.
great quality too. It's another radio broadcast, and
Right.
there's where was I getting at with that? Brain fart. Anyway. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say anything between 73 and 76 is there's some good stuff out there. Just great quality. There's just a rawness, and the set lists are all great. I love it when like Peter talks. It's cool to hear Peter and Gene just talking about stuff in between some of those old shows.
Yeah, like it's so weird to hear that, and even Ace on some of those shows, old shows, and
yeah, just hearing them laugh.
Here's a song we don't play that much, and they do Love Theme from Kiss or whatnot. And it's weird how they kind of shared it back then, but then they realized, or Paul decided, I'm the focal point. I'll do the talking.
Right. I think there's probably more bands that do that when they're kind of club oriented, though.
Yeah.
Before they get too big.
Yeah. I mean, they at least share the duties on singing.
Right.
But as far as, talking to the crowd, because then you run into that problem where sometimes you got two guys talking over each other, and it just gets to be a cluster, and it's like, okay, one person just needs to be the hype man, or if you want to call it that.
Right.
Like the slave.
Yeah. Paul Stanley wearing a big clock. Yeah, boy.
I think that's one thing that Gene gets mad at Ace, because Ace takes the mic, and I've seen him get mad at Ace several times.
Yeah, like when they were doing that medley.
Yeah, what does the Ace Frehley band want to do next? That's great footage.
And then
the fans eat it up though.
And then Ace just goes right into a song, and he's just staring at Gene while he's doing it, like.
Right.
He just knows he's getting under his skin.
What was the cover song that he started? Was it Louie Louie that they did at the Unplugged?
Yeah.
He's like, this is our new song, and Gene's like, what are you doing? But that's Ace. A lot of people love that crap.
Oh yeah. And then Gene does that. He does that like 800 times during that show. It's like, all right, Gene.
Yeah. The wrap it up rep.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of that, I think we're gonna wind this one down then.
Awesome.
Wow, flew by. So what do you think, Chuck?
I'd say thanks for having me, guys. I hope we can do this again. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Like you said, time flies by talking about Kiss.
It does.
I can do it every day.
Yeah,
I've been doing it every day since I was a kid. So
it's definitely nice to have people that share the interest to talk to it about. So, yeah. So we appreciate you coming on, and
we'll have to do a wrestling podcast one.
Definitely want to do that too. Huge wrestling fan. We definitely enjoy you having you on, participating, and we definitely want to officially welcome you as the new co-host, our third co-host finally. The search is over.
Awesome.
So everyone, welcome Chuck with open arms. Send nudes and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna have to make a new intro now, and things will change.
Right.
Maybe
Bring back Devereaux.
Devereaux. Maybe we can bring back the trivia segment that we used to do. Now that we have the three of us again, that maybe we could do that occasionally, if not every episode. So, yeah, we're excited to finally have another co-host again, and feels
now,
like
we need one more co-host, and then we can all wear Kiss makeup.
or one of us could just wear half and half.
Right? Yeah, we'd just be a different character every week.
There you go.
Right.
Giraffe Boy and
yeah, Giraffe Boy, Donkey Man. All right, so we're gonna wrap this one up. Leave some comments and let us know, some of your favorite bootleg audio and video, and your official video releases. Some of the favorite ones you'd like to go to. Just let us know what was your first Kiss concert. Also, what was the one thing that's sort of embarrassing in history that they've done, and your favorite, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, we want to know how old you were when you had your first kiss.
And I'm not going to answer that. It was about, I don't know, 2 hours ago.
You kissed the mirror. That
Damn. Yeah, but it talked dirty to me, so.
I bet it did.
Now you made me lose my train of thought.
You better go clean your mirror.
All right.
You were talking about input as far as on the feed on the website.
That's it.
Leave
I'd
comments.
like to see suggestions on future topics.
There you go.
Or,
we want more suggestions. We had that great suggestion with the ultimate set list. Chuck, by the way, did submit mine. I didn't even think about it till now. He submitted it to me. Maybe next week we can kind of touch on that and mention Chuck's set list, and I'll have to get to listening to that.
Mine's the right one. Nobody else's.
Yeah. He did it totally by the book. Not backwards or anything.
I just couldn't see ending the show with a monster song. That's all I'm saying.
I know, it's bad.
Brayton ended his with an asshole song, so.
I should have.
All right, people. Thanks again for watching. Subscribe to the YouTube page, like the Facebook page, help spread the word. Got some exciting plans in store now for the future, so keep watching.
Yep.
See y'all next week.
What has she got that the others have not? It must be that look in her eyes.